not so bad, it's not so bad. My tears come cold, I'm wondering why. Got out of bed at all. The morning rain.
When this mother's 7-year-old daughter was abducted and then killed, she decided to take matters into her own hands in a way that no one could have anticipated, leaving Marianne Bachmeier to go down in history known as the Revenge Mom. Marianne Bachmeier was born on the 3rd of June 1950 and grew up in a small town in West Germany. Her upbringing was troublesome to say the least. Her father was a heavy drinker who spent most of his time down the road at the bar close to the family home. Because of his drinking, their household was not pleasant, and drinking would just simply intensify her father's aggression. This then resulted in her mother and father getting divorced, where her mother would later remarry. Bachmeier was perceived as a troubled adolescent by what she would describe as a dictatorial stepfather, and due to these ongoing issues, her mother would eventually kick her out of the family home. And in 1966, at the age of just 16, Bachmeier had her first child, whom she placed for adoption as an infant as she was unable to cope. 2 years later, in 1968, Bachmeier became pregnant again at the age of just 18 by her boyfriend, but Bachmeier was shortly before the birth of her second child, and due to the trauma of this too would place her second child up for adoption as an infant, something that would later come to affect her as the public would only have a part of the story, but that is something that we'll get to later. Bachmeier began dating the manager of Tapasa, which was a pub where they both worked in 1972, and Marianne became pregnant for the third time at the age of 22, and on the 14th of November in 1972, Bachmeier's third child, Anna, was born. Marianne raised Anna alone, and as a result of this took Anna to work at the pub, somewhere that Anna would often fall asleep, as her mother didn't really feel the need to rush home after regular hours behind the bar. But Bachmeier was aware of her problematic lifestyle, and also wanted to put Anna up for adoption. Friends later on said that she treated Anna like a little adult, and from a very young age, expected her to take care of many things on her own. According to a friend of Bachmeier, Anna was a vibrant youngster who truly never had a pleasant family lifestyle. Now, Marianne had a troubled upbringing, and when an individual can't justify or understand why they were treated so differently when they were growing up, they too can cause chaos for themselves and those around them. And this is a way that they can cope with justifying that what happened to them is just normality. And on the 5th of May 1980, when Anna was just 7 years old, she would have an argument with her mother that would lead her to skip school, but in doing so would make her available to an individual by the name of Klaus Grabowski, a 35-year-old butcher whom she knew from going to his home to play with his cats. But sadly, Klaus would actually abduct Anna, whom he held at his home for several hours. He then assaulted her and ultimately strangled her with a pair of his fiance's tights. According to the prosecutor, he then tied Anna up and packed her into a box, which he would then leave on the shore of a canal. But it wasn't long before Klaus's fiancée turned him over to the police. Now, Klaus was already a convicted sex offender and had previously been sentenced for the abuse of 2 girls. In 1976, he voluntarily submitted to chemical castration, though it was later revealed that he actually underwent hormone treatment in order to try and reverse the castration. Once arrested, Klaus would state that Anna had sought to extort money from him by threatening to tell her mother about the abuse, which was more than likely a lie, as she was only 7 years old, and he would actually later confess that it was his fear of going to prison that would prompt him to kill her. But prison wasn't the only thing that Klaus should fear, because they say that revenge is a dish best served cold, and unfortunately for Klaus, Marianne Bachmeier just set the table. On the 6th of March 1981, on the third day of Klaus's trial at around about 10 AM, Bachmeier smuggled a Barrett 70 into the courtroom of Lübeck District Court, room 157, and in front of cameras everywhere, he shot Klaus Grabowski. She aimed the gun at his back and fired 7 times, and 6 of those shots hit Klaus, who was killed almost instantly. Bachmeier then lowered her gun and was apprehended without resistance, as she said the words, "I did it for you, Anna." This incident is one of the most well-known vigilante cases in West German history. It sparked extensive media coverage. Television crews from all around the country and from overseas traveled to Lübeck in order to report on the case. Now, Bachmeier sold her life story for about 100,000 to a magazine called Stern, and with that fee, she then covered her legal costs. And while Bachmeier was held in custody, many sent messages of support, gifts, and flowers to indicate their understanding understanding of her conduct. Nonetheless though, some still believe that a constitutional state should not condone vigilante justice. And in addition, after Stern published her life story and details how she allowed her first two children to be adopted by loving families, public opinion shifted as she no longer appeared to fit the innocent mother image. But even so, numerous individuals openly demonstrated their compassion for the retaliatory action. And on the 2nd of November 1982, Bachmeier was initially charged in court with murder. Later, the prosecution dropped the murder charge, and after 28 days of negotiations, the board agreed on the verdict. 4 months after the opening proceedings, she was convicted on the 2nd of March 1983 by the Circuit Court Chamber of the District Court of Lübeck for manslaughter and unlawful possession of a firearm. The defense's argument that the act was not premeditated was mostly upheld by the court, and Marianne Bachmeier was sentenced to just 6 years in prison, but was released after serving just 3. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you enjoyed this one, then be sure to follow for more content like it. Drop a like as it helps out the channel, and have a great day.